In recent years, a quiet revolution has been unfolding in West Africa, and at the heart of it stands Côte d'Ivoire, also known as Ivory Coast. Once famous mainly for cocoa, the country is now breaking global records in another crop, cashew nuts. This year alone, Côte d'Ivoire is expected to produce around 1.15 million tons of raw cashew nuts, a 20% increase from last year's 944,000 tons. That makes it the largest producer of raw cashews in the entire world, ahead of giants like India and Vietnam. Cashew has become Ivory Coast's second most important export, bringing in over $800 million every year and supporting hundreds of thousands of rural farmers across the country. But here's the remarkable part. This success story didn't begin in boardrooms or big international trade deals. It began decades ago in the dusty northern farmlands of Côte d'Ivoire, where cashew trees were first planted not for profit, but to save the land itself. So how did a humble tree once used to fight soil erosion grow into a billion-dollar industry? This is the story of how Côte d'Ivoire became the world's cashew capital through vision, policy, and the hard work of its farmers. The rise of Ivory Coast's cashew industry can be traced back to the 1960s. At that time, the government faced a serious environmental challenge, soil erosion in the northern regions. To combat this, they introduced cashew trees, known for their deep roots and ability to thrive in dry, savanna-like conditions. At first, these trees were simply part of a reforestation and land restoration effort. Farmers planted them along the edges of their fields, not knowing that decades later they would become one of the nation's most valuable assets. The trees adapted perfectly to the Ivorian climate. They required little maintenance, resisted drought, and produced nuts that found ready markets across Africa and beyond. By the 1990s, as global demand for cashews began to rise, more farmers started planting cashew trees for income, not just for soil protection. Gradually, production expanded from the northern regions to other parts of the country. What began as an environmental project had quietly laid the foundation for a future economic powerhouse. By the early 2000s, Côte d'Ivoire's government recognized the enormous potential of cashew as both a cash crop and a rural development tool. They made a bold decision to turn cashew into a national priority. The government launched a series of reforms designed to professionalize the sector. It introduced a regulated purchase price, ensuring farmers received a fair and stable income. In 2025, for example, the official farmgate price was set at 425 CFA francs per kilogram, about 66 cents in US dollars. That's a big jump from 275 CFA francs, or 43 cents, the year before. This guaranteed price system gave farmers confidence to plant more trees and invest in better farming practices. At the same time, the government backed its ambitions with real money, investing over $20 million to support local processors, improve production quality, and strengthen farmer cooperatives. Tax incentives were offered to attract private investors into processing facilities, while infrastructure projects helped open up roads linking rural cashew-producing regions to major ports. Through these policies, the Ivorian state sent a clear message. Cashew was not just another export, it was the country's next big agricultural success story. These measures transformed what was once an informal trade into a structured, profitable and sustainable industry that now sustains hundreds of thousands of smallholder farmers across the country. But government action alone wasn't enough to make Côte d'Ivoire the world's top producer. The private sector, both local and international, played a massive role in scaling up production and processing. In recent years, foreign investors from India, Vietnam, and Europe, along with Ivorian entrepreneurs, have poured millions into building modern cashew processing plants across the country. These facilities can shell, roast, and package cashews domestically, capturing more value before export. This wave of investment is helping the country move beyond simply selling raw nuts. The government's goal is ambitious but clear: to process 50% of its entire cashew harvest locally by 2030. Already, new factories are creating thousands of jobs in towns like Korhogo and Boaké, located in the heart of the cashew growing belt. Private cooperatives have also sprung up, helping small farmers gain access to better seedlings, training, and financing. The result is a growing ecosystem where farmers, processors, and exporters all benefit from shared growth. What used to be a simple trade of raw nuts has evolved into an integrated value chain, one that is lifting rural communities, attracting foreign capital, and diversifying Ivory Coast's economy beyond cocoa. It's a transformation many economists now call Ivory Coast's second agricultural miracle. While strong policies and local investments laid the foundation, global demand turned Ivory Coast's cashew industry into a booming success. Over the last 2 decades, cashews have become one of the world's most sought-after nuts, prized for their taste, nutrition, and versatility. In Europe, health-conscious consumers have embraced cashews as a plant-based protein source and a healthy snack alternative. In Asia, especially India and Vietnam, demand for raw cashew nuts has skyrocketed due to their use in food processing and confectionery industries. This global appetite has had a direct impact on Africa. Imports of cashew nuts from countries like Côte d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso have surged, rising by 28% and 74% respectively in recent years. For Ivory Coast, this demand came at exactly the right time. As production increased, global buyers were looking for new, reliable suppliers outside Asia. The country's improving logistics and export infrastructure made it a natural choice. But global demand alone isn't enough. Competitiveness matters too. Ivory Coast has gained an edge by improving quality control, adopting modern farming practices, and promoting sustainable cultivation. Today, the country's cashews meet international standards demanded by major buyers in Europe, the US, and Asia. This alignment between rising global demand and domestic efficiency is what pushed Côte d'Ivoire to the top of the world's cashew industry. What started as a simple crop to protect the soil has now become a global export, driving international trade, foreign investment, and new opportunities for millions of Africans. Behind Ivory Coast's rise to the top of the global cashew industry is a quiet technological revolution happening on the farms. Farmers across the country are no longer relying on old, low-yield varieties. Instead, they are planting hybrid cashew seedlings, specially developed to produce more nuts per tree and resist disease. These improved seeds, combined with better training programs and modern farming techniques, are helping boost productivity dramatically. Extension workers now train farmers on pruning, pest control, and harvesting methods that reduce waste and improve nut quality. Mechanization is also taking root. In processing plants, Automated shelling and grading machines are cutting labor costs and reducing post-harvest losses, areas that once accounted for significant profit leaks in the value chain. Another key factor is the age of the orchards. More than 10% of Ivory Coast's cashew trees are less than 10 years old, meaning they are just entering their most productive phase. This guarantees strong yields for the next decade and beyond. With continuous government support, farmer education, and technology-driven improvements, Côte d'Ivoire's cashew productivity is not only growing, it's becoming more sustainable and globally competitive. The result is an agricultural sector that's increasingly modern, efficient, and able to meet the rising demands of the international market.
The cashew boom has done more than boost export numbers. It has transformed lives.